Good evening, how are you? Wish you are fine. I'm Dr. Bassem, I'm plastic surgeon. I want to speak in this video about mesofat or fat lipolysis or mesolipolysis. This is an introduction first about lipolysis, which is the metabolic pathway through which lipid triglycerides are hydrolyzed into a glycerol and 3 fatty acids. It is used to mobilize stored energy during fasting or exercise and usually occurs in fat adipocytes. Lipolysis is induced by several hormones including glucagon, epinephrine, norepinephrine, growth hormone, arterial natriuretic peptide, brain natriuretic peptide, and cortisol. I may put an image, but before the image, in general, a lot of hormones affects the lipolysis. Glucagon, but during stress, we should mention more epinephrine, norepinephrine, and cortisol. There is an image which illustrates the 3 separate steps of hydrolysis involved in lipolysis. In the first step, triglycerol is hydrolyzed to make diacylglycerol, and this is catalyzed by adipose triglyceride lipase. In the second step, diacylglycerol is hydrolyzed to make monosylglycerol, and this is catalyzed by hormone sensitive lipase. In the last step, monosylglycerol is hydrolyzed to make glycerol, and this is catalyzed by monosylglycerol lipase. The mechanism in the body, stores of fat are referred to as adipose tissue. In these areas, intracellular triglycerides are stored in cytoplasmic lipid droplets. When lipases are phosphorylated, they can access lipid droplets and through multiple steps of hydrolysis break down triglycerides into fatty acids and glycerol. Each step of hydrolysis leads to the removal of one fatty acid. The first step and the rate-limiting step of lipolysis is carried out by adipose triglyceride lipase. This enzyme catalyzes the hydrolysis of triacylglycerol to diacylglycerol. Subsequently, hormone-sensitive lipase catalyzes the hydrolysis of diacylglycerol to monosylglycerol, and monosylglycerol lipase catalyzes the hydrolysis of monosylglycerol to glycerol. Pyrilipine 1A is the key protein regulator of lipolysis in adipose tissue. This lipid droplets associated protein, when deactivated, will prevent the interaction of lipases with triglycerides in the lipid droplet and grasp the ATGL coactivator. Comparative gene identification 58, comparative gene identification 58, and aka ABSD5. When pyrilipine 1A is phosphorylated by pKa, it releases CGI58 and it expedites the docking of phosphorylated lipases to the lipid droplet. CGI58 can be further phosphorylated by pKa to assist in its dispersal to the cytoplasm. In the cytoplasm, CGI58 can coactivate ATGL. ATGL activity is also impacted by the negative regulator of lipolysis. G0G1 switch gene G0S2. When expressed, G0S2 acts as a competitive inhibitor in the binding of CGI58. Fat-specific protein 27, aka sites is also a negative regulator of lipolysis. FSP27 expression is negatively correlated with ATGL M messenger RNA levels. The regulation illustration of the activation of lipolysis is an adipocyte induced by high epinephrine and low insulin levels in the blood. Epinephrine binds to beta-adrenergic receptors on the cell membrane of the adipocyte, which causes CAMP to be generated inside the cells. The CAMP activates protein kinases, which phosphorylate and thus activate hormone-sensitive lipases in the adipocyte. These lipases cleave free fatty acids from their attachment to glycerol in the lipid droplet of the adipocyte. The free fatty acids and glycerol are then released into the blood. The activity of hormone-sensitive lipase is regulated by the circulating hormones insulin, glucagon, norepinephrine, and epinephrine. Lipolysis can be regulated through CAMP binding and activation of protein kinase. pKa can phosphorylate lipases. Perilipin 1A and CGI 58 to increase the rate of lipolysis. Catecholamines bind to 7-TM receptors, J-protein coupled receptors on the adipocyte's cell membrane, which activate adenylate cyclase. This results in increased production of CAMP, which activates pKa and leads to an increased rate of lipolysis. Despite glucagon's lipolytic activity, which stimulates pKa as well in vitro, the role of glucagon in lipolysis in vivo is disputed. And insulin counter-regulates this increase in lipolysis when it binds to insulin receptors on the adipocyte's cell membrane. Insulin receptor activate insulin-like receptor substrates. These substrates activate phosphoinositide 3 kinase, which then phosphorylate protein kinase. pKa subsequently phosphorylates phosphoinositide, which then converts the CAMP produced to adenylate cyclase into 5-AMP. The resulting insulin-induced reduction in CAMP levels decreases the lipolysis rates. Insulin also acts in the brain at the mediobasal hypothalamus. There it suppresses lipolysis and decreases sympathetic nervous outflow to the fatty part of the brain matter. The regulation of this process involves interactions between insulin receptors and gangliosides present in the neural cell membrane. In blood, triglycerides are transported through the blood to appropriate tissue, adipose muscle, by lipoproteins such as very low density lipoprotein. Triglycerides present on the VLDL undergo lipolysis by the cellular lipase of target tissue, which yields glycerol and free fatty acids. Free fatty acids released into the blood are then available for cellular uptake. Free fatty acids not immediately taken up by cells may bind to albumin for transport to surrounding tissues that require energy. Serum albumin is the major carrier of free fatty acids in the blood. The glycerol also enters the bloodstream and is absorbed by the liver or kidney, where it is converted to glycerol 3-phosphate by the enzyme glycerol kinase. Hepatic glycerol 3-phosphate hepatic glycerol 3-phosphate is converted mostly into dihydroxyacetone phosphate and then glycerol aldehyde 3-phosphate to rejoin the glycolysis and gluconeogenesis pathway. Lipogenesis. While lipolysis is a triglyceride hydrolysis, the process by which triglycerides are broken down. Esterification is the process by which triglycerides are formed. Esterification and lipolysis are, in essence, reveals of one another. Medical procedures. Physical lipolysis involves a destruction of fat cells containing the fat droplets and can be used as part of cosmetic body contouring procedures. Currently, there are four main non-invasive. There are four main non-invasive body contouring techniques in aesthetic medicine. This is what I want to speak about. Physical lipolysis involves destruction of fat cells containing the fat droplets and can be used as part of cosmetic body contouring procedures. Currently, there are four main non-invasive body contouring techniques in aesthetic medicine for reducing localized subcutaneous adipose tissue, in addition to the standard minimally invasive liposuction, low-level laser therapy, cryolipolysis, radiofrequency, and high-intensity focused ultrasound (HIFO). However, they are less effective with shorter lasting benefits and can remove significantly smaller amounts of fat compared to traditional surgical liposuction or lipectomy. However, further future drug developments can be potentially combined with smaller procedures to augment the final result. This was the video about fat lipolysis. I don't want to speak about it more, but as I told you before, this is an introduction. This is an introduction about talking about mesofat injection. Later